Biden is the least of their problems. Over the weekend, Senator Bernie Sanders made an appearance at Coachella. For those of you who don't know, it's a popular music festival in California. Tickets cost between $600 and $1,400. The average beer there, $14. You can see it's a big party. A meal there, $100. Hundreds of dollars to camp, thousands of dollars for hotel rooms. But there was Bernie Sanders speaking to a crowd of tens of thousands of people who had all paid at least $600 to be there about taking down the oligarchy.
Now we got a president of the United States who... I agree. We need you to help us to create an economy that works well for everybody, not just the 1%.
Tezlyn Figaro, former Bernie Sanders campaign advisor, chief political correspondent at Revolt News, is with us. Do you think he didn't understand the irony of talking about the 1% at Coachella?
I mean, let's be honest. Just because somebody saved up to pay a $700 ticket doesn't mean they're the 1%. I mean, the 1% is the 1%. It's not how I would prefer to spend my money, but...
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he was speaking to his base. You know, that's what Bernie Sanders does. He has a very good connection, even though he's almost 90. He has a very good connection with young folks. They love to hear from him, and so he did his thing. He's doing something more than what other Democrats are doing, which is absolutely nothing and rolling over and playing dead.
Is it interesting that you say he's doing something, and we really praised him on the show and said that Republicans should pay attention when he and AOC went on that tour of working class towns. I thought about when he was in Fort Collins, Greeley, Colorado. These are hard scrabble, not really frontier towns, but still sort of on at the far end of what you think of as America having a tough time, and he got huge crowds. Then he goes to Coachella. You say he's doing something in terms of fighting back. No. NBC puts out these sort of 4-pass, 5-pass of how Democrats should fight back. The leading of the resistance against Trump at all costs is J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Take a listen.
We've got to win. I mean, it is clear that we know how to organize. We also are clear, I think, that the voters are very upset about what's going on in Washington, D.C., and they want change, and they want a party that's actually for working families, not a party that pretended to be, and now is raising prices across the board on virtually everything.
Is going after Trump at every turn the right way, as you point out, to do something?
Well, I don't think he's doing... I don't agree with the something that he's doing. I'm saying he's just basically just doing something. It's not effective. It's not working. I'm not listening. I don't hear Democrats talking about the midterms. To me, to even be talking about what's happened 4 years from now and who's going to run for office for 4 years when there's no strategy for midterms right now, that seems to be a problem on the Democrat side. But James Carville put out a piece today that said that, you know, Democrats should continue to roll over and play dead. I mean, he's literally saying that Democrats should do nothing at all and let it play out, let things play out. So that's what it looks like they're doing. So Bernie Sanders is going on his tour, but I don't know if it's going to drive solutions with actually getting people to get involved, run for office, and so forth. So we'll just see.
We think about this list of potential presidential candidates, because that's really where this is. You get somebody who becomes a leader, and then you get somebody who then pushes the party forward. Whitmer, Polis, Murphy of Connecticut, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, Wes Moore of Maryland, Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. If you've got to ask yourself who is the inspirational leader among these people, doesn't that kind of answer the question?
I'm going to be honest with you. People are not inspired right now if folks are sitting up talking about what they're going to do in 2 or 3 years, when, again, right now they're not providing solutions. I'm just a regular layperson. I just did a town hall in Atlanta. We had over 200 people standing outside in the rain to be able to find solutions to know what they can do in their community right now. So I challenge...
When you say find solutions to do what they're in their community, what do you mean by that? What are you talking to them?
Well, I run a training myself. I train folks on how to run for office, which is nonpartisan, how to run for office, how to work on campaigns, how to be an organizer, how to be an activist. I mean, I literally train hundreds of people a year with no budget, no Democrat Party backing me, no Republican Party backing me. This is just something that I just do because it needs to be done. There were people who were standing outside in the rain begging for solutions. So they hear a lot of rhetoric on podcasts. They hear a lot of rhetoric on TV from Democrats, Republicans, this is wrong, that's wrong, but they're not actually providing the solution. It's great to have people stand in the stands for Bernie Sanders, but he failed with that in 2016 when I worked his campaign. He had plenty of people that came to the stands, but never really had a strategy on how to get them to the polls. So there's a lot of talk and not enough walk.
Well, look, we used to think about the idea of somebody who was a Bernie voter in 2016 who was going to cross over and become a Trump voter. And there turns out to be an enormous amount of those people. Tezlyn, thank you so much. Fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. First wrote about this in War Notes. That's your chance for an inside look at the show every day. It is free. Warnotes.com and subscribe. You will be delighted, smarter, and the envy of all of your friends until you tell them to subscribe. Warnotes.com, at Leland Vittert on social media. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.